Hey guys, Jay here, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing really well. Today I wanted to go over some tips that we use on a music video shoot that we shot recently that not only help level up your visuals, but you can actually do them for free. So let's not waste time and we'll get straight into it. The first one might seem really obvious, but that's to change up your camera angles. You know, you're on set, you're getting your wides, your mids, your close-ups, but when you get into the edit and you've only got those 3 different shot types, it's going to get boring really quickly. Not just for you, but for the people watching it. In the music video that we shot recently, we did a variety of different setups, just to keep things fresh, and even though the shots might be on screen for just like seconds at a time, it breaks up those wides, the mids, the close-ups, just to keep things fresh and to kind of give your audience something to latch onto that isn't just those 3 shots. We even had an overhead shot in there as well. I think it was on screen for 2 seconds, but I think it keeps things fresh and just stops the audience from getting complacent with what they're watching. Changing up your angles can be one of the first ways to really improve your filmmaking. It shows maturity and it can even level up your production, especially if you're doing pre-planned moves. For example, we do a lot of tripod shots in our videos, and that might be down to budget or crew or story, but you can still get really creative with those kinds of shots. One of my favorite things to do with a tripod shot is have your characters dictate the action of your camera angle. So in these examples, you can see the tripod shot follows the characters. They're either standing up or coming into frame, or they're crouching down to pick up a piece of paper on the floor. And it's just those little moves that can help level up your production even further. Basically, changing up your angles will keep things fresh. Not only will you have a better time in the edit, but if you take the time to plan out these different shots and different angles, your audience are going to pay much more attention, and in the long run, that's a win-win, really. Another method of changing up your visuals is by using mixed media. And all I mean by that is changing what you're actually shooting your content with. So instead of shooting it with your go-to camera of choice, maybe shoot it on a dad cam or your phone. And you could easily write this into the story. In our example, we had the band go into the forest with an old digital VHS style dad cam, and the leveling quality broke up the action even further and kept things fresh. I'm going to say fresh a lot in this video, but that's the whole point. Not only were these shots treated like real life recordings, kind of Blair Witch style POV shots, it kept things fresh, it looked different, and it just gave us a bit more leeway in the edit to keep things exciting and to keep the energy up with the song. We even used them during some performance sections where you can see the band performing on their instruments, and because we'd introduced it as a narrative component, it blended the 2 sections, the narrative and the performance together, which made the whole video feel a lot more cohesive. Now, I'm not saying you need to do mixed media on every single video shoot, but it is a fun way of re-engaging your audience and also just changing things up as well. The third thing you can try is by adding simple VFX shots to your video. This can be tricky or complicated depending on how you go about doing it, so try and keep your situations and scenarios in which these VFX shots exist simple. So in our music video, we had 3 different VFX shots, and they were all basically achieved in the same way. We had a band member vanishing, and they were then buried underground, and then at the end they reappeared. And like I said, all of these shots were achieved in the same way, just with a combination of masks and clean plates. A clean plate is basically the background or your scene with no talent in shot. All it means is that when you do mask out your talent, you'll have that plate or that shot underneath the layer, so you don't have to draw it back in or anything like that, or special effects. It's basically just cutting a little hole through your video to see the video underneath, but it's the same shot, so then you can do the disappearing acts or the underground kind of shots or whatever it is that you really want to do a lot easier. And it's super important to not touch anything within the set, the camera, the lights, whatever, whilst you're filming your clean plate and the action that's going to take place over the clean plate. If you nudge it, they won't line up and it's just going to give you a nightmare in post. So as soon as you hit record, just have the talent do the action, have them clear out of the way in the quickest and safest way possible, and just roll until you get like maybe 5-10 seconds of clean plate, and then you can cut and you can bring them into post. In this example, when we had our band members bring back the lead singer, they throw a sheet over midair and you can see it just produces the outline of the singer. They pull the sheet away and there he is. big Houdini act. And this was really tricky to do because we had the Amaran F22C off to the side on a fire effect. So it's lighting up the floor and it's also lighting up him. So when we did the clean plate, the fire effects didn't sync up. So we had to go into the clean plate and basically chop it up and then have them line up with what the overall scene was doing. So then when we did mask out the singer, the floor lined up a bit better. It's a bit of a nightmare. So you can go as complicated as you like, but just be aware that the more complicated you go with it, the more work you're going to have to do to get it to fit together with the actual clean plate. So to achieve this effect, all you need to do is put the clean plate below the shot with your talent on there. You go to your color tab in Resolve, right click and create an alpha output. And in your node, you can create your mask and then you can click and drag the blue arrow to the output. And then that will give you your clean plate and your mask merged together. And if you need to keyframe the mask, you can do this here. Just make sure it's set to frame and not clip before you start. And if it's a straightforward mask, you can just click track forwards and backwards. Super easy stuff. Resolve does it all for you. This technique is seen in music videos all the time, from no budget to infinite budget productions. It's a super easy way to get your audience to re-engage with the video, to have something visually really interesting, to just have them pay more attention and ultimately level up your production. Number 4 is a nice and easy one, and that is in-camera effects. In-camera effects are one of my favourite ways to add energy into a project. In this one in particular, we slowed down our shutter to 1/8 of a second and we filmed specific shots to cut in between locations or emphasise a feeling. In this section, the vocalist has just made a deal with the antagonist character and he starts to feel a little bit strange. So we combine this point with point 1, so we've got the Snorri POV style cam, and all the vocalist's doing here is just holding out the camera on a little grip arm in front of him, so the camera moves with him, so it really gets the audience inside his head so they can visually see how he's feeling. And all we do is push this further with the slow shutter effect, so you've got him with the Snorri cam moving around, not feeling great, and it cuts in with the slow shutter to really show his head's feeling fuzzy, he's not 100% there, he's not too sure what's going on. So the two angles are cut together really quickly, up to the point where the character vanishes, and honestly it's one of the most memorable points in the video for me, and we did it all for free. Lastly, and I would say this is the most important thing, is to make your videos fit your budget. So for example, in this video, the initial plan was to have the band meet the antagonist character in an office space, kind of like a record label meeting, I guess, but we just didn't have the budget to actually rent an office space to get those shots. So we changed the narrative to suit something that we could actually achieve. So we had the antagonist meet the band at one of the band members' houses. So not only are we working with the band to save them money, so that's going to be points for you, but also still doing it in a way that allows the narrative to move forward unchanged. The only thing that is different is the location. And honestly, I think it worked out for the better. Not only did we have this really nice characteristic house to work with, it also meant that we were saving the band money, and then we could spend more time in one place before moving to the outdoor forest location for the evening. So if the idea is too big and the budget is too small, it's your opportunity to get creative and try and work it in a way where the narrative fits the budget and you work within your means. So not only you can walk away with something that you're happy with, the client can have something that they're happy with too. And just before you go, I've got one more tip for you, just because I'm nice, and that's to always do pre-production. Why should you always do pre-production? Why is this a tip? Because it's so important. If you don't have good pre-production, you're going to have a bad time on set. Simple as. Pre-production allows you to plan out the video in as much or little detail as you like. It allows you to make shot lists, bring together a list of props, just anything that you might need on the day, and basically brings everyone on the same page so they know exactly what's going off. And all it means is that when you do get to set, all you're doing is ticking off a list of things that you need to get done, and it will streamline your day and you know you're not going to miss anything out. And I found that doing really efficient pre-production will sometimes allow for time on set to try things and get creative, and maybe you'll find a shot or something that you hadn't thought of during the pre-production. But because you already ticked off your list, you've already done all your pre-production, it allows you to flex those creative muscles in a working space. So really it's a win-win. You have no reason not to do pre-production. It's also a good time to get your clients on board and involved with the idea, and it'll also create less friction in post. If they know what they're agreeing to and know what they're signing up for in the pre-production phase, there's going to be no surprises, or there shouldn't be any surprises when you get to delivering the final edits. And if you made it this far, I want to know your tips on how you can level up your videos or make your production better without having to pay for it. It's got to be free. Let me know in the comments below. But that's it for today. So if you learned something, let me know in the comments below. Subscribe if you're new here, really helps me out. And of course, hit the like button, and I shall see you in the next one. Peace.